Grab your small ball and join me for this bar workout. This is the Bennie Barre Pilates studio. We're going to start out class today working through the abdominals on the mat. So we're going to take that small ball and place it between the shoulder blades, and then come lying down onto a supine position, elevated up on that ball. We're going to keep a neutral pelvis and we're stable through the hips. Make sure with the neck that you are not looking up towards the ceiling, but the chin is tucked forward and your gaze is forward over your feet. We're going to slowly circle the arms around and up, down, around, and up, reaching back and really curling and tucking forward here. Focus on the breath, really trying to exhale through the exertion. Inhaling as you're sweeping the arms around, exhale as you lift and bring the arms forward. Really avoid trying to strain through the neck by looking up at the ceiling. Reversing direction here, taking the arms up, around, and in as you tuck forward. Inhale as you're extending the arms back, and exhale as you're squeezing forward. We're working through the range of motion through our arms, finding that connection between our back and our arms, and obviously working the core quite a bit here. Moving into the next exercise, hands to the mat, we're going to pull the left knee in and reach back long to the mat, and then the right knee in. Head, neck, and shoulders are lifted, gaze is forward, regular speed right here. Use that exhalation every time you draw the knee in. Next exercise, float the arms up and we're going to chest lift, peel head, neck, and shoulders forward and come back down. This feels like a crunch, small motion rolling forward off that ball. Remember to keep the chin tucked and the gaze facing forward and not straining through the neck as you're looking through the ceiling. Moving now into the next exercise, bring the hands down towards the mat and we're going to lift the straight leg through the left and lower down to the mat, and through the right and lower down. Head, neck, and shoulders stays lifted up, gaze is forward. You are engaged through the core here as you're lifting through the legs. Keep the pelvis and the hips nice, stable, and steady. Only lift that leg up and keep the core engaged. Hands are pressed into the mat for support and stability. Hands lift up behind the head, elbows out wide. We're going to twist the shoulder blades to the right and to the left. So you're peeling up one shoulder blade at a time as you twist, and twist the opposite way. Try to keep those hips and the ankles steady and stable on the mat. You are going to feel this burning very quickly. Keep the chin tucked, head lifted, those shoulder blades rest on the ball, and we're twisting one shoulder blade off and the other shoulder blade off. Tiny twists, back and forth. Well done. I hope that you are feeling that burn in your core. We're now going to be moving towards the bar. You can use the back of a chair for support if you don't have a bar available. And we're going to be focusing on the hamstrings and the hips, placing that ball just behind the knee right here. We're going to take the first exercise. We'll squeeze with the hamstring, squeeze that ball into place, lift the leg out, knee forward towards your bar, and lower back down. Then release the squeeze. Good, so we'll squeeze, lift to the side, lower, and release. Keep the hips square and facing forward. Make sure that they're not shifting from side to side. Gaze is just gently forward, and make sure with that standing leg that you're not locking out the knee, but you've got a gentle micro bend in place. For our next exercise, we're going to keep that knee down and just do the hamstring squeeze. Last exercise on this side, we're simply going to lift out into that fire hydrant and return the leg down. Staying right here with the movement. Make sure that you've got a small squeeze on that ball so that you don't lose it. You're holding it nice and steady and keeping those muscles engaged while you're holding in place and concentrating on the lifting through the hip, working through hip and glutes. It's time now to switch to the other side and repeat all of those exercises. Ball coming behind the left knee, and make sure that you've got it securely in place. I'm adjusting right here. This is our combo movement. We're going to squeeze, lift the knee out to the side, lower, and release the squeeze. Holding that knee down and just doing those hamstring squeezes. And finally, holding that engagement and lifting the knee out to a fire hydrant to the left side and lowering back down. And removing the ball. We're moving now into chair pose. We're going to put that ball just above the knees, in between the legs. Toes are parallel and facing forward. Peel the heels up, and we're going to sink down into chair. The knees shoot forward. We have the hips stacked underneath the shoulders. We want to make sure that the hips don't extend out and that we're not hinging forward through the waist. We want to sit up straight and tall as if our back is just sliding down the wall. Those heels are high, and right here we're just going to squeeze the ball in between the knees. Moving into our next exercise, which is going to be plies with heels on the ball. So we want our feet to be in a Pilates V or a very narrow first position. Our heels are lifted and they're placed on top of the ball. Sitting the ball carefully on the floor, we're gonna hold onto our bar here for support and for balance, and we're gonna place our toes down on the ground and our heels are placed onto the ball right here. Really lifted and pressing into the ball. Now we're going to plie down, opening out the knees and keeping the hips directly underneath the shoulders, and then press up, those heels pressing into the ball. Really think about the feet to seat connection here. So as you're pressing out of those heels and lifting up, we want to be squeezing the whole way up to the glutes. Thinking about zipping the legs together from the ankles all the way up to the glutes. Really press up and squeeze at the top, straightening through the legs. We can definitely take this movement more lazily, but we really want to think about squeezing and zipping the whole way up through the legs. We also don't want to speed and rush through this movement, so we're thinking about being precise and really pressing up and keeping a nice regular pace here. All right, lifting up, and we're gonna remove 1 foot at a time off of the ball. Next exercise at the bar, we're going to take some single leg squeezes with the ball. So we're gonna lift up the right leg, flexing through the foot so it's just hovering off the ground. The ball is in between the ankles. Left leg stays in place, and the right leg squeezes the ball in towards the left leg. Make sure you don't lock out the knee of the standing leg, and we're just gonna take that knee, tiny movement of the right leg, squeezing in and releasing out. Make sure that you're not holding your breath and that you're breathing deeply, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth as we're concentrating on those precise little movements and all the stabilizing muscles that are working overtime here. Switching sides here, weight comes into the right leg, left leg lifts slightly, flexing through the left heel, and we're using the left leg to squeeze the ball in. You know what I like to say, what we do to one side, we must do to the other because we want to have even bodies. Moving into our next exercise here, which is going to be squats with heels on the ball. So we want our feet to be parallel, toes facing forward, and the feet very close together because we're going to have the heels up on the ball, pressing into the ball, toes pressing into the floor, pressing evenly through all the toes, and they are facing forward here. So we're going to squat back, heels on the ball, and then pressing up and out of the heels to lift as we press our hips forward coming out of the squat. Make sure anytime that we have our heels lifted on the ball and unstable, we want to have a nice comfortable grip onto whatever we're holding onto. If you don't have a bar that's nice and sturdy, make sure that your chair is sturdy and not going anywhere. You don't want it to be on wheels rolling away here and you losing your balance and falling. Well done, coming down off of the ball here. We're moving next into a second position, toes turned out. We're gonna take plies in second while squeezing through that ball. So the ball is straight out from the sternum, elbows are rounded here, and as we plie down, we're going to squeeze that ball in. So again, we've got two movements here. We're gonna plie down, and as we're doing that plie, squeezing through the ball. We're going to exhale as we plie and squeeze, and inhale, lift, and return, release the squeeze. Next exercise, we're gonna plie down, hold that plie right here, lift the arms up overhead, and we're gonna squeeze the palms in, squeezing the ball while we're holding that plie in place. Make sure that your pelvis stays underneath the shoulders, and we're concentrating here on holding those legs and stabilizing and working through the pec muscles with the arms up overhead. Every 10 pulses through the arms, we're gonna release through the legs and lift up out of that plie. Lift up tall, small break, plie down, and squeeze for 10. Lift up tall, plie back down, and squeeze for 10. And lift up tall, release the ball. Coming down to the mat here, and we're going to be working in a quadruped position. We want the knees to be about hip distance apart, directly underneath the hips, and the hands directly underneath the shoulders. We want our spine to be in a neutral position and not in one of those cat-cow extremes that I just showed. We're placing both hands onto the ball here. You can feel immediately that you lose stability by doing so find your center, and we're gonna go into push-ups right here. Driving those elbows back towards the body and then pressing up straight off the ball. We wanna make sure that that spine doesn't curve in either direction. Really think about maintaining neutral and pressing through the arms and trying to stabilize on the ball while doing so. Good. Now we're going to place the right hand onto the mat, the left hand on top of the ball, and we're going to be doing those single arm push-ups. So driving the elbows straight back towards the body, lowering the head down towards the mat as if you're dipping your nose towards the mat and maintaining that neutral spine. Switching sides, left hand to the mat, right hand is coming up onto the ball. Make sure here that we're not turning and flaring the elbows out to the side, but we're tucking in and thinking about driving the elbows back towards the body. Good. Next, we're going to come into a side lying position. We're going to come down onto the right side with the shoulder stacked over shoulder, hip over hip, hands supporting the head, and we're going to press that ball just past the left hip with the palm facing down onto the ball, and we're simply going to press straight down into the ball here. And switching sides. We're rolling over onto our left side, supporting the head, stacking hip over top of hip, shoulder over shoulder, and now our right hand is pressing through the ball that's just past the right hip. Think about keeping the chest nice and lifted and not sinking or rolling forward. We really don't want to roll that top hip forward or back. We just want to keep it stacked and think about reaching long through the arm and pressing down towards the leg. Okay, we're coming next into the mermaid. So we want our front leg to come in front of us like this. The back leg is bent back. We're gonna place the palm onto the ball right here. Make sure that you have enough room on your mat to really roll out here. Placing the palm or the edge of the wrist onto the ball, we're going to roll out onto that ball and lift the outside arm up and over, lifting up and out of the hip as we press that ball away. And then lifting back up tall and rolling the ball in with us. So the palm starts out on the ball, and then we roll out towards the elbow as we're extending and roll back towards the palm, really working through the side body here. And now switching to the other side. Again, make sure that you've got plenty of room on your mat to roll out. We're moving now into some more abdominals, placing the ball in between the knees. We're gonna roll onto the back, and we're gonna float the knees up into a tabletop position with the ball in between the knees. Now we're gonna peel up head, neck, and shoulders, going into the Pilates double leg stretch. We're going to reach the legs out and away, arms come up to frame the face, and then snow angel the arms back around to the legs. Again, we're holding those muscles to keep that ball in place as we reach up and out. We wanna maintain a neutral pelvis here. We're not getting any air or space behind the back as we do this. Chin is tucked and gaze is forward towards the legs, not looking up towards the ceiling. Switching that double leg stretch up, we're going to place the ball between our hands, knees come together, ball over top of the knees, and we're going to reach the legs out 45 degrees, reach the arms up to frame the face, and then draw everything back in. Arms coming straight back towards the knees. We curl into a little ball right here and then extend out long. Make sure to keep that neutral spine and make sure that you're not looking up towards the ceiling, but you're looking forward. We're moving now into the double straight leg stretch, bringing the ball in between the ankles, reach the legs up towards 90 degrees, and lower down head, neck, and shoulders. Make sure your gaze isn't going backwards, but the chin is still tucked and we're looking forward. We're going to slowly lower the legs down towards 45 degrees and bring back up. Make sure here that you don't lose neutral pelvis. We want to keep it right here, and we don't want to lower the legs down so far that we get a bunch of air underneath our back and that our rib cage flares. This takes a lot of control and is a lot of work through that core. Switching things up with this exercise, we're going to bring those feet together, remove the ball, and place it behind the head just as support. Head, neck, and shoulders are lifted, elbows are out and wide. And now we're going to lower the legs away and lift up. So now we're working through the rectus abdominis with the head, neck, and shoulders lifted, but we've got the ball operating as a little bit of support. Make sure that you're not using on it to pull on your neck and that you're not folding your elbows in, tugging the neck forward. We're really just supported here as we lengthen the legs out and away, and we don't want to lose neutral pelvis here. We don't want to gain any air underneath the back. Reaching out towards 45 degrees and drawing back up towards 90 degrees. All right, and releasing out of that exercise, we're just gonna pull the knees in and take a little rock from side to side. I hope that you have enjoyed our bar work at the bar and on the mat with the small ball. You did a great job. Whew. Thanks so much for joining me at the Bennie Barre Pilates studio. Be sure to check out my channel for more bar workouts, as well as Mat Pilates, Springboard Pilates, and more. And if you're interested in joining me for online classes on Patreon, you can join on the bar tier and have hour-long live classes with me every single week. You can also find Mat Pilates and Springboard Pilates and more to come on Patreon, and you can find the information for that in my write-up below. And if you're wondering what videos you should check out next, I have a few suggestions for you. If you're looking to utilize that small ball on the mat again, check out this Pilates class with the small ball. Also, I've got a 30-minute bar workout right here for you. See you next time in the studio, and let me know if you have any requests.